Let's talk more then about the start of the ANC's Lekgotla with ANC veteran Omry Makgoale, who's joining us from Johannesburg tonight. Very good evening to you, sir. Grateful for your time as always. So the party's Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, talks about a goal of ending the chronic electricity shortages in the country by the end of the year. How wise is it for him to even verbalize that when you consider that it's taken 15 years for the ANC-led government to even try to get the situation under control?
Look, I think probably they have discussed and maybe some people have advised them that it's possible to deliver this in 11 months. I don't know, but let's hope that he talks from an informed position, being informed by people who know in the field of energy. So at the moment, I can only say that I hope that he was well informed with his colleagues about these plans, and they are confident that in 11 months this will happen.
But it does have potential, does it not, to be quite damaging to the ANC's 2024 election campaign if in January of next year we're still sitting here having conversations about stages 4, 5 and 6 of load shedding?
Yes, I fully agree with you. If we are not going to meet the targets that they've put across, the Secretary General has put across, in 11 months. And if we don't meet that, of course, it's all going to be damaging for the ANC. And I think that Fikile Mbalula and his colleagues in the NEC are well aware of that they cannot afford to give false promises to the South African public. So they have to deliver that in 11 months. I hope so.
You speak of false promises. In his opening address at the Lekgotla today, President Ramaphosa said that ANC leaders need to be honest with South Africans when it comes to decisions, plans and targets, especially in light of the 2024 general election. But when you look at the election trends of the last decade and just the discontent among South Africans who are not ANC voters when it comes to the party and its running of this country, how would you assess the value of the ANC's word in society today?
Well, at the moment, people don't trust us much because in the past 10 years, 15 years, we have been making promises and not fulfilling them. And people have a right not to trust us that much. So we have to be trustworthy to the people as ANC. We have to act in a manner in which we can be trusted. And we can only be trusted when we do things openly and correctly. When we address the issue of the power shortages, in the country, when we address the issue of the infrastructure, the rail infrastructure, the rains start to run in a proper way, and when we address, the potholes in the roads, when people see improvement on the roads, the potholes being attended to, and the jobs being created, people will come back. But at the moment, we have a problem of power shortage. And without power, there's no factory that can run. As you might know, all the factories require power, most of them. Whether you go to Christie's or Lalacht in Johannesburg, anywhere where you go, where there are factories or there were former factories, they can only run when there's electricity. Without electricity, they cannot run. So I think that the power issue is at the heart of every problem we have at the moment.
But realistically, though, can the ANC really do all of that within the space of a year and a half, when you look at the power crisis itself, the triple challenges of poverty, inequality and unemployment, which have all worsened in the last few years?
Look, I don't think they will solve all problems. I don't think they can solve all problems because these problems have accumulated over years, over more than 10, 15 years. These problems have been accumulating. So they cannot solve them all at the same time. And this is why I think the president acknowledges that we might have the will, but we cannot address all the problems at the same time. So they have to prioritize problems that they want to start with first, and that the public will be aware that this has been targeted and this is being addressed, and they must see the improvement. But if they don't see any improvement, of course they are not going to be impressed. The public cannot be deceived and cannot be fooled. And the key issue, of course, is the personnel in the structures. The personnel in the structure. When you still have crooks in these structures, crooks that are known by the public, you cannot convince anybody that these people are now going to do things in a better way. So it's important that they deploy the right people in the offices and in the structures. for them to be trusted. If you have a crook in charge and people know the crook, you cannot expect the people to trust that crook because you are saying we are now working in a new way. So the personnel that they are going to deploy will be critical for this coming 11 months to 18 months.
And this year and the next are basically a crucial point, are they not, for the ANC? One could argue the equivalent of the party's matric exam, when you consider that the ANC has been in charge of this country. Next year it'll be 30 years officially since that first democratic election. And for many, the promise of a better life for all remains elusive. Why is that?
Yes, it remains elusive. There are several problems. But the key issue was that when the ANC took over, some of the people were replaced in the structures of the state prematurely without having transferred the skills to the new ANC members and the new public. By that I mean that, for instance, in Johannesburg, when Johannesburg in 1994, we had to do what we call skill transfer. We had to train the new personnel to run the city, away from the former personnel that were running the city from 1910, with accumulated skills. Now, some of those transfers was not done properly. Some of the people were replaced prematurely. And at the moment, we can't run Johannesburg properly because some of the people left with the skills before we, as ANC or as black people, can actually learn how to run a modern city like Johannesburg. That's why Johannesburg is dilapidated with ruins and potholes all over the place, which is a disgrace, of course. But we could have avoided it had we used the skills of the previous white minority civil servants to transfer those skills to the black people so that we know what to do when you run a modern city.
Omry Makgoale, good to speak to you, ANC veteran on News of Prime tonight.